being 7:04 on March 7th, 2017. This is new Durham Planning Board. I'm Scott Drummond, the chair. And as normal, we're going to go around the room here and introduce ourselves to you folks watching at home. I'll start on my left.
Laurie Zusko, Administrative Assistant.
Bob Crickcraft, Vice Chair.
Jeff Allard, alternate member.
David Swenson, Selectman Representative.
Larry Chabot, member.
Okay, and Don Vizel is out of town tonight. Next item is public comment. If anyone has any...
You want to put...
Yeah, one second. You're right, I need to do that. Public comment, if anyone has anything they want to talk about that is not on tonight's agenda. Hearing nothing. Jeff, you can sit in place of Dot tonight.
Okay. Will do.
Next item is a review of minutes. We have to do January 3rd. This was a large public meeting we had.
Yes.
January 3rd, I have...
Anyone have any comments?
Yeah, I have some suggested changes. I was just going back. January 25th, January 3rd. Okay. You want me to go with
ahead.
it? Okay, on the first page, under the public hearing section,
Yeah.
first line, I would suggest crossing out the word pending. It's redundant actually.
Yeah.
Cross out the first pending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And then on the next to the last line, starting with ZBA, cross out or has not approved and said in its place put make a decision on any. So the sentence would read
Has made a decision.
made a decision on any exception.
Yeah.
Exception is already there, so that would stay there. So cross out or has not approved the and put in its place made a decision on any. So the sentence again would read, he stated they would need to continue the hearing until such time as the ZBA has made a decision on any exception.
Okay.
Next sentence, next line, cross out V2. So the first V2 after the word of. Selectman Swenson made a motion for continuance of, cross out the V2 of the Green X blah blah blah. Okay? Cross out the word the two.
Yeah.
And then on the next to the, third line up from counting the motion is the first line. Commission is holding a public hearing in January 10th of 2017. I think the year should be added to that. And then cross out, at the end of it, cross out if it is approved. To discuss the potential regional impact of the gravel pit, period.
Yeah.
Okay? Next page, ready? I don't know, anybody else have anything on one? Just, merry meeting is one word. So it would be connecting the merry and the meeting with a small m. For the title, and that there are several places throughout, and
Yeah.
Laura, I have actually a second copy of this. I just haven't had with me with all the ones that I've just talked about along with this. If it's approved, I'll just give you that. You can have that.
Oh, thank you.
It's in handwriting, so good luck with reading my handwriting. But, okay. So merry meeting we've covered. Second line in planning board members who are abutters. I would cross out or otherwise involved with application. I think we were just addressing abutters under that question.
Yeah.
Paragraph after the public hearing where it starts Jeff Allard, again, merry meeting, make that connection. I didn't note, and I'm not going to suggest we do anything with it right now, but I would like to have seen an outline of the discussion points under that paragraph, just so that, a couple of months from now, if somebody asks, what did you discuss? We don't have to go back and look at the video. We have just a couple of bullet points. But, given where we are now, I wouldn't suggest we go back and do that. It's just a comment for future. Under the approval minutes, I believe it was Bob Crickcraft that did the motion on the November 29th rather than Jeff.
Could well be.
My notes show it was anyway.
Okay.
So Craycraft made a motion to approve the minutes as amended. That's the November 29th one. That's all I have on the second page.
Yeah. Because we were all there, so Jeff wouldn't have
But,
been a voting member anyway.
Precisely,
If that was there, that's right. That's
precisely.
right.
So,
That's right. Yeah, I
Well,
don't remember
Okay.
making that motion, so I'm sure it's right.
Yeah.
December 6th.
As I said, my notes show is Bob that made the motion. On the page 3, again, the Mary meeting under the table there, and into the motion itself. Those are all my suggested changes.
Is that last on page 3?
I'm sorry?
Oh, in the motion, Mary.
In the motion, the Mary
Ah.
meeting comes together, as well as the sentence above the motion.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great.
And by the way, I think the motion should have lake in it too. Wasn't it the Mary meeting lake?
No.
That's
it's not.
Mary
No.
meeting watershed,
It
okay.
is
It's
just
watershed, it's
Mary
not a
Meeting
lake.
watershed.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, then that sentence up above maybe should be changed.
Yep, take lake out of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw there was inconsistency, so.
Yep. No, it is just Mary Meeting watershed.
Okay. And you should do that on page 2 in the title then also. Top of page 2, cross out the word lake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's-
then the third paragraph too.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
yep. No, that's
that's it,
okay.
yeah.
In that third paragraph, to protect the watershed of Mary Meeting
Yeah,
Lake.
that one's okay.
That's
I
a
agree.
place,
I agree.
so that's correct. That's not talking about the ordinance title.
Yep.
Okay?
And those are the only ones that I have.
Just one other, because I just wanted to go back, since this was the meeting where the planning board voted to place the district proposal on the warrant. Very top of page 2, it's the Mary Meeting Watershed
Right.
Overlay District.
Right,
Yeah, so put district after overlay.
Right.
right.
Right, it's the
Yep.
Mary Meeting Watershed Overlay District proposal.
Yeah. Okay,
And in the other places, I don't think it's that critical, but in that one spot, makes sense.
okay. Any other comments?
Negative.
I'll hear a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 3rd, 2017 minutes as amended.
Second?
I'll
Second.
second. I'll second.
Lance? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's 5-0. All right. Look at
And
the
Laura, if you want, I have a copy here.
January 25th minutes.
Okay, January 25th, page 1, page 2. I have some on page 2 when you get to it.
Okay.
You want me to roll?
Sure.
Are you ready? I think page 1 is okay. Pretty minor one on the first paragraph, after replied. I just, instead of noting, I would just say, Mr. Allard replied that open lands can also be, but very minor one on that. Then on the motion, again, Mary meeting in one word. And the Mary meeting watershed overlay district proposal, add the word district, I think, to the motion. And then in the next motion, Again, Mary meeting, one word, and again, move district after overlay. And that's all I got.
All right. Any other discussion? I'll hear a motion.
Make a motion to approve the January 25th, 2017 planning board minutes as amended.
Okay. Second.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
You're abstaining. Two.
401. And just for public point of view, you're abstaining because you weren't present at that meeting.
Here.
You weren't there. Okay. We'll go with mail, I guess. I think most of you have, there's some mail. I'll start with what's in everyone's packet first. Our annual zoning conference is coming up, April 29th.
That's what's in the packet, right?
That should be in your handouts.
Yep.
I don't know all the details here, but the handout says there's right to know law issues, accessory dwellings law, again, we're gonna have to deal with this year, reading plans. Jeff, you'd probably be good on that because you haven't had, I thought that was really useful when I took that.
Okay, good. No,
It
I
was
have
really
no
useful to
experience with
figure
this.
out how to read a plan and what to look for.
Okay,
I would recommend that for anyone who hasn't been there, hasn't done that. Community outreach engagement. I'm gonna try to go to the accessory dwellings and or the community outreach. I don't know what the plenary sessions are about. No. We have money in our budget for training, so you would, in the past, we get a head count and the administration person actually does the registration, because then you can get the billing directly to town. You know, you get the payment directly from town in one shot. Otherwise, we have to pay for ourselves and get reimbursed, which is messier.
right.
So I would recommend.
Well, I would certainly like to attend. Hope
Yep.
others will join me.
Any idea when it starts? I mean, it's on a Saturday, but it doesn't say
Um,
start time. Is it like 9 or?
I looked for that too, Terry. I couldn't find it.
I'm
Okay.
not sure it's 9, I think it's 10, but I don't know for certain. It's in the morning, certainly. It's before noon, I know that.
I can send an email and ask that question and see if I
Yeah,
can get an
and
answer.
if you just go to the, somewhere here, there's a, nh.gov/OEP,
I did, and I didn't see
you'll get a full
anything.
schedule there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
It doesn't show it should have the full schedule up by now, I think.
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
I
I
didn't-
didn't the other day. When
Yeah,
I
I
looked, I
didn't
didn't
see-
see a time.
I didn't see the hours when I looked. but-
It,
Is it just?
it is, oops, I have to go through, I'm looking at the conference agenda.
Yeah,
So it starts at registration breakfast, 8 to 8:45, basically welcome at 8:45, plenary session at 9. It ends at, I'm doing this a little backwards, looks like it goes till about 3:30.
Okay.
That's the last concurrent session, so.
So probably, what, half an hour, 45 minutes later than that?
Allowing for,
No, that, you said the last one starts at 3.
Oh.
No, it ends at 3:30.
Oh,
Ends at
Around
3:30.
2:15 to 3:30 is the
okay.
last
Okay.
concurrent session.
All right.
but every symposium I've ever been to ends late, so.
they're usually pretty, they've always been timely.
Okay.
It's a pretty simple
You let
thing.
me know who wants to go, I will
Yep.
send in registrations for it.
Yep. What's the deadline?
April 21st.
Yeah, it's
April
pretty late.
21st.
I think it was April
It's
21st.
March.
It is.
Pretty late.
Why don't we put a note in for the first April meeting? Make that our deadline?
I think I'd like to go, I just wanna wait till
Yep.
it gets closer,
Yeah.
in case something comes up.
I'll put a note on that to, agenda item, final call. I'll have a better heads up on what's going on in my life by then. Okay. So I'm gonna look at mail. There's a bunch of usual kinds of things. Stratford County Conservation District report. This is from Drinking Water and Groundwater Bureau. There's a bunch of stuff in here. Different things in here. It's another, oh, this is already passed. Well, it's actually tomorrow. So,
Better hurry.
yeah, little late on that, I'm not even about it.
Where is it?
It's it's an Ecological Landscape Alliance conference. Workshops about, functionality of plants and creative stormwater design. Keynote is the evolution of ecological landscape design. So it's about,
Where they have
using landscape, it's in Massachusetts,
Oh.
at UMass Amherst.
They had a webinar
It's how to
last
do
year.
landscape design
It
to
was good.
enhance, water quality and things like that. Even though tomorrow. And we have a, standard wetlands permit for, someone's rebuilding their deck, their shoreline, a couple 100 feet.
On Mary meeting?
On the lake, yeah.
Okay.
I believe this is one planning, the Conservation Commission just reviewed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looks standard,
Yeah.
pretty standard dredge and fill permit to fix a breakwater. I call it, not much of a breakwater on a lake, but that's what I call it.
Is this something that requires planning board approval as well? Or
No.
This is just an
It's just a
FYI
review,
to
it's,
us?
it's just a note for us to look at. I mean, this has already been even the conservation can't stop that, can they?
No, you can, some of these you comment to DES on.
Yeah.
You can also either sign it, endorse it as a Conservation Commission to basically expedite
Right.
the process, or not. And then it's still under the DES's purview
Right.
to approve it within a specified timeframe. So
Mhm.
it's ultimately DES.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, we don't have.
What are they applying to do, just out of
It's just,
curiosity?
a lot of the properties on the lake, they're the concrete, they may have a concrete wall or
Retaining
something,
walls.
retaining wall kind of thing, that's worn away, so they want to.
Oh, they wanna just rebuild it?
Yeah, they're just rebuilding it in
Okay.
kind,
Okay.
that's what it looks like to me, they're just replacing.
Well, that's the
it.
whole point of drawing the lake down in the fall. I think a lot of it is to allow
Right.
people to redo their walls.
Right, we get a lot of these in the fall and winter, I'm surprised it's so late.
Well,
Okay.
this is one's a little different.
Is one a little different?
No, I believe this is it. Yeah. I just didn't, the name just didn't click with me, but I
Yeah.
believe this is the same one we just reviewed.
Yeah.
Conservation
All
Commission.
right. Let's see.
Jones Beach Engineers, well, not exactly. Humorous name. Different location.
Okay. let's see. Laura, did we all get this? We all got this Lake Region Impact Statement, right?
Yes.
So if you look at the document that is dated December 16th, determination of potential regional impact, draft review comments. This is from Lakes Region Conservation Commission, right? Is that what they call themselves?
Planning, regional.
Sorry, Regional Planning Board, right.
Yeah.
They didn't even title their own document.
No.
So it's their comments about the Green Oak pit. I have not read them, I just saw them myself, so,
I just got these a few days ago. I had to track them down from the Wolfboro planner because
Yeah,
they
they
didn't
didn't send you
anything
them us.
to us.
And who are these comments from?
the Lakes Region Planning Board.
This is Lakes.
We got the
Region.
Stratford County one before,
Right,
that
right.
was more extensive than this. This is the Lakes Region Planning Board. Because there was a regional impact project, it bumped into Wolfboro, and that comes under Lakes Region Plan. So, I've not read it, so, read that at your leisure.
Are you gonna send that to us, or? I don't have it.
You don't have a copy of that?
It should be there.
What's that?
Here, I
It
go.
was there.
Why don't you see if Dot has one?
Oh, I'm sorry, I put it over here, sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
There it is, okay.
Got it.
Now write your own title on that so you know where it came from.
Mhm.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the master plan demographics.
Well, there's actually two sections, demographics and the responsibility and measurement homework that was given late January, I think.
Okay.
Cover that one first, actually. I have received, one, two, three, I've received 5 sections. 3 of them are essentially complete. One of them is almost complete, and one I just got today, which I want to have a conversation with Terry, I just got hers today.
Okay.
Because I only gave it to Laura yesterday.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
no, that's
I
fine.
thought I had scanned it.
I'm still missing natural resource.
That's me.
Not gonna mention any names, I'm still mentioning just all the sections.
Thanks, Bob, you made me feel good.
So, if you feel guilty, please act. Anyway, that's where we're at on that. I'm hoping that, get those inputs, and then, just have a board conversation on one of them, and I'm not gonna mention names. Jeff's is almost done. I've had a couple of suggestions for him to think about, and we're gonna have a dialogue on that, which is the same thing I'd like to have on yours, once I've had a chance to read it. I haven't read it, unfortunately, the copy I got had some cut off on the margin, so Laura supplied me with one that I can
Okay.
somewhat read anyway. So we're close on that issue. One thing I do want to caution, and listen, send it to those people that I've had conversations with. I have a very, very strong bias on the measurement side, that it should be one. I mean, I can understand sometimes because of how generic some of the strategies are, that you might have 2 measurement pieces, but make them so that the measurement so that you know when it's accomplished. That is, that as an example, there'll be an annual report of such and such, so that you know, if you don't get an annual report, you know you haven't met that criteria.
Okay.
That's a pretty generic one, but that's the idea, is that
Okay.
the measurement of success, as I said, I have a strong bias, and I'm open to other ideas too, but I have a very strong bias that when we measure our success, you should know when you're successful,
Yeah.
by, ticking off, this is what it is, whatever it is. And I can go through some specific examples if you'd like, but that's the key piece here. So as soon as you get those to me, I've spent actually probably, I would say, 10 to 12 hours in the last 3 or 4 days, doing some stuff from the various inputs that I've gotten. And as soon as I get the other inputs, try to get on those fairly quickly, so.
Okay.
Hopefully, if I get them early enough, I can have them at the next meeting.
Okay.
On the demographic side, I've contacted Stratford Regional Planning Committee, they've had a change. As you know, Matt Sullivan went from them to Wolfboro, several months ago, but they do have another person which I had contact with during the month of February. Had some resource information that I've begun to generate. I do not have it complete yet,
Okay.
but I will try to have it complete. I'm not sure it'll be at the next meeting, but I will have it certainly by the first meeting in April.
Okay. Why don't we X that down for the talk?
So
we
just
have a-
summarizing, if I get all the inputs on the responsibility measurement side, I will try to have the first draft by the next meeting.
Okay.
The demographics, it will be tight to have it by then. I would rather target the following
Wanna
meeting.
just
If I
have
can do it, I'll
everything-
do it, but
Want to just delay not do anything next time? And
I would rather do the I'd rather,
Okay, keep.
yeah, I think it's just
stepping it
easier for us too, because you don't spend all the time on
up. Okay,
one piece. And what I can do is, I can give Laura the draft of where we're at, once I get those inputs, and she can spread it out, so you can read them ahead of time.
right, okay. Sounds
Okay?
I have a question about that process.
Uh-huh.
Just real quick.
Yep.
Several of the items that Swenson and I have tried to quantify and put metrics to involve the actual planning board conducting some kind of an exercise at the end of the year
Okay,
in order to report or
Sometime during the year,
quantify, or, yeah, sometime
Okay.
during the year, to try and determine, did we meet the objective for that year?
okay.
Is that something the planning board has done routinely in the past, is
No.
to follow up on the master plan and?
No.
Okay. Does it sound like something that's reasonable for the
That's
planning
what we
board
should
to
do, otherwise the master plan sits on a shelf and nothing happens to it.
Okay.
I think I mentioned.
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned that the biggest failure in corporations and companies that do strategic planning, the biggest failure is that they never
Gonna follow
review.
up.
They never go back
they
and
never
look at it.
review and periodically and systematically say, everything that we're doing, how does that tie into, in this case, a master plan, in their case, it would be a strategic plan, but the idea.
Right.
So, it would be, I'm glad to hear the response, but it would have been disappointing if it wouldn't have been that response, but yeah.
Right, that's been the problem.
Yeah, exactly. We said at the outset, the master plan, once it's agreed to by, everyone, people that aren't adhering to it, their feet should be held to the fire.
Yeah,
You should be asking why. Things change, so it may be there are good reasons not to do something. Things
right,
do change, so that's not the point, but they should be, those entities that are responsible for doing what that plan is, if they're not doing it, should be asked why.
Now, there's a
Absolutely.
natural human tendency to avoid the higher level discussions and to dig down into the details
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
I think it's because the details are less controversial somehow and less painful.
Well,
Or
but they're
whatever
also a bit, human nature has a more natural tendency to look at than do those things, on a day-to-day basis, so.
Right, That's
It's
what
a
your
little
to-do
easier to do it
list-
that way.
yeah, that's what your to-do list generally consists
Right.
of.
Right.
absolutely.
Okay.
All right, any other ideas, discussion on
Again,
Um,
I'll look forward to, we can work it through Laura, however you want to do it. If you'd like an electronic version of that spreadsheet for your section, you can either let me or Laura know, and I'll pop it off if you want to do that instead of handwriting it. It's easier for me, but whatever method you like,
that? Okay,
just let me know.
all right. Okay, our next item is the plan requirements for registry of deeds. And this came up because the last plan that was submitted incorrectly, unbeknownst to all involved,
The
including
last
myself.
plan of what?
The last, that was,
Salon Realty.
yeah, the
Oh. Lot
lot line adjustment.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
It was submitted incorrectly, because nobody involved in doing so understood. So, so Laura thankfully put together, contacted the registry and got their kind of checklist on what needs to be, how things need to be submitted, what fees are, et cetera, et cetera. So, the biggest issue is the plats that are submitted cannot be folded. That is their biggest no-no. They have to be rolled up, unfolded. Because all the applicants give us plats folded for convenience sake.
Yeah.
So, Laura and I are gonna look at, I'd rather put in the zoning regulations in the application section to put a note in, one copy of your plat must be
You only need
rolled
one
up.
copy. You only need one copy of
Right,
the registry. yeah.
one copy must be rolled up, you just put that specifically
Unfolded.
in the
yeah.
regulations section of the zoning ordinance.
Right, unfolded, rolled.
Not the zoning ordinance, but in the various, it may have to be put in more than one place, so I'll have to look.
In the checklist as well as,
Yeah.
as well as-
Application checklist for anything that would ever have to be
Right.
submitted to the registry. We're gonna put a little line in the regulation saying one copy unfolded. And update whatever these other fees are.
They also don't want topographical on it if it's at all possible, because they don't like all the lines on it. They say it looks too cluttered.
Right, but,
Interesting.
And that makes it more difficult for the engineer, because you guys require.
yeah, I know, we've talked about this before. Our regulations require, especially the steep slope stuff, requires the topo. So I don't know how
I
we
guess,
deal with that.
I guess if you.
Are we one of the only towns that have a steep slope ordinance?
No,
But
So I don't get that.
I think for recording purposes, though, they could submit a separate plat to us.
Yeah.
Because we sign off on various, plats on
Yeah.
some of these
Yeah,
applications, but the one for the recording,
Yeah.
they could have a cleaner version.
yeah,
So in your notes, you just.
So in
note
that
the
note, we're gonna
unfolded,
have to
rolled version
specify.
should not have
They won't
topographical.
deny it completely. I think I think it says in there that they don't, that's what they prefer. Okay, is no topography. And I did
Mhm.
talk to a couple of surveyors who do these plats and stuff, and they said that Stratford County is like the only county that gives them a hard time about topography. All the other counties don't have a problem, as long as the surveyor knows that you've got the elevation, the line doesn't go through it, it doesn't interfere with any other part of the plant, they want it clean.
right.
No overlapping numbers and that
Right.
kind of stuff. As long as they've got that, the other registries don't have a problem accepting the plans with topography. It's just, Stratford has their own idea how.
So on the list, you said the unfolded, rolled
Yeah.
copy, not to
That's,
be topographical.
that's, the unrolled, the rolled up is,
Well, it
it
just really
says
says
right
it has
in
to
the
be
plat
legible.
law that you have to.
It just says it
submit
has to be
unfolded.
legible.
Right,
Yeah.
right, that's fine. I guess,
The lines can't over.
just make sure that we have
Yeah, yeah.
a copy on file, believe it or not, that has the topo on it.
Right, and then ask them to submit one
Yeah.
clean copy.
Because for our future reference, we want the topographic. Okay?
So the topographical would go in the New Durham records and the
Yeah,
clean copy would
And the
go to.
registry
Must
does
go
not
be
get one.
recorded at the registry.
Right,
Okay,
okay? So that's what this extra thing about this registry of deeds is all their rules, right?
Yes.
The RSA's
Printed out
about it.
what they had online,
And that's really,
and
really
it's,
fun.
it's more for information
Okay.
purposes.
All right. Okay. So that's that. Okay. Review of the zoning ordinance for map and references is our next handout. This is town maps at the top of it. Laura, can you walk us through what, if anything, needs to be addressed here?
I made a list of all the maps that are available here in the town hall.
Okay.
I've inventoried them, labeled them, and they're all in my office. What I need from you guys is to go over these and match them up with what's in your ordinances to see what you might want to tweak, change,
Okay.
update.
Quick, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Is there more on that, or I have a quick question?
Not all of these maps are referenced in your zoning. They're maps that you guys have made over the years, but they
Right.
aren't specifically called out in, and some of the maps that are called out in the ordinances are the 1979, 1973,
Right,
really old maps.
right, so we need to get
You might wanna
updated
update.
references here.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, that is gonna cause for changes to the ordinance next year.
Right. The special exception summary that I include, I think I included a copy for you guys, I'm not sure. It calls out for the land use suitability map. That map
Right.
was actually made by the planning board, colored by the planning board in 1970-something, I think. There's actually no date on it, but somebody told me that it was something that they did in the late 70s, early 80s.
Is this
Because they
one,
remembered it
is this the
being
one
done.
that was an issue on that one ZBA?
Yes, I did
Right.
find it. The only one on those, I have not been able to find that was specifically called out in our excavation ordinances, is that groundwater favorability map. That has not appeared, but somebody also said that they believe that comes from the same time period as the land use one. It's one that the planning board did. And
Drew it themselves.
And drew it themselves, you know, filled in, colored.
Okay.
But
All right.
in my search, I did find the land use suitability one.
Okay, where's that groundwater? Well, so you don't have it on the list here because it doesn't exist.
Right, it's not on there
Alright.
because I don't have it.
Okay.
And I didn't find one that would substitute for it as far as groundwater goes.
Go ahead.
We were working with Stratford Regional to update our map set. And that will basically serve as a replacement for these older maps once we have those. Because one of them was the land suitability map, but there are a series of maps. So there will be a groundwater favorability map, and for the next election, we can certainly utilize those new maps
Yeah,
in place of the 1979 versions, because now everything's digital, so
right.
it'll make it a lot easier.
Yeah, look, you talking about the natural resource inventory maps?
Well,
Or the
well,
ones
there's
we just
the
did?
groundwater favorability is one that's coming. It may have some other things on it as well, but we will have a groundwater favor, it has a transmissivity is how it's
Coming?
put.
Where's it coming from? Am I missing
From
something?
Stratford Regional Planning
Stratford
Commission.
Regional?
We
Yeah, I don't know where
we
those
had a
maps-
bunch of maps that,
I thought we
They
already
came
got the
Did
ones.
we get,
that's what I was just gonna ask
I
about,
don't-
that I
We already
thought,
got them. I
did we get the
thought.
final? I don't know if those
I
were the
don't-
final, were they?
I don't,
I thought we did. The ones that
Is
we
that the
had,
composite maps
the
that you have
contract we
listed
had done
first?
last year.
Yeah,
Or
That's the
that we
composite
got.
maps
Oh,
that
then
you
we
have
should take
listed
a-
first, or no?
Composite maps, the first item there.
Yeah, 2013,
Right?
2016.
Yeah.
then we should take a look at
There
those.
was not a groundwater suitability map in those.
Well, there's the one that has the transmissivity, that will be a groundwater suitability. And we could get another one that specifically breaks it down, but that map does have transmissivity, which is
Okay.
groundwater
These
suitability.
composite maps aren't your new ones, those are the ones that cartographics give you every year.
Ah,
What's
so
the,
where
So
are
where, yeah,
the,
that's in-
where are the other
exactly,
maps?
that's where,
The other newest maps that I have are the 2013 ones.
They
what
were
happened to the
supposed
one
to send
we
us
just did?
a
we just did
bunch
those?
of them.
I will do another search, but
I mean, we had copies
This
of
is
them in our.
Yeah, we paid them a lot
Yeah.
of money for those. We better get copies
Right.
of them.
And
I-
didn't you also get, or you requested digital copies as well, right?
I thought we got
that I can probably look at.
I thought we
have
got-
IT,
Both,
several hard copies and a CD.
right?
That's what
That's what
I
I remember.
a CD.
remembered Matt Sullivan
Yeah.
saying we were getting.
Yeah,
I have like 3 boxes that I still have not gotten to. They're from planning from the office upstairs.
Yeah.
I will make a point of going through those. to
All
see
right,
if I
if
can-
that's where that should be.
these
I'll
are
check
about
my,
like 8x14s or something like that.
something like
Yeah.
that. I hope
At
they're,
least
I
they'll
hope
be,
they're
they
11
may
by
be larger
17s.
than
right.
on the original.
I hope they're 11 by 17s, but
Yeah, they were,
Yeah, I mean, but
yeah, there
Yeah.
should be.
they were kind of like this size.
The size of that calendar, yeah, 11 by
Yeah.
17.
yeah.
They're not the whole
No. but-
board there.
I think they were,
But
11 I
pretty
think you're right, they're
I
11
think
by
they're 11 by
17 or
17, the
something.
hard copies.
Yeah.
I thought when Matt came to show us those maps, he was talking about it and they were gonna be finalized. Maybe those were the final, but I thought we were gonna
I
get
thought
a,
he had one more thing he was gonna do.
yeah, I
remember
think one was
more
the,
thing.
one I think was the land use suitability map
Mhm.
that had to be finalized. But maybe we do have the rest. But anyway,
Let me, make sure I understand what you've got here. The dates, obviously, I know that's when the maps, respective maps were generated, it appears. Description, obviously, there's the description of the map itself.
Right.
The organizational board, I don't know what CO, county or whatever, I don't know what
It
CO
was the
stands for.
company, the organization.
Company, organizational board that did the map,
Yes.
Okay.
These are
Okay,
all
because some of
four.
these maps were specifically done for the Conservation Commission, some
Okay.
were done specifically
And then,
by.
once you have this more or less complete, is that the next page? No.
Second.
No, that's a continuation.
No, once you have this set complete, then would you be going through the regs and ordinances to verify which maps are referenced there versus what's here and, cross-match and gap it, or what? You understand what I'm saying?
I guess I
Understand.
can.
Well,
I made the list, I figured you guys would go through the ordinances and decide which maps you wanted to place where and what you wanted
yes,
to
I
change.
mean, sometimes you can
but-
just do it with a find and search type of thing, but I don't know. I just wanted to understand what the plan was.
I don't have-
Once you got this information, what are you gonna do with it?
Right.
I guess is the key.
But I think the most critical thing is anything that's referenced in the ordinance, obviously, we should make sure we update those maps.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Or if it's not needed,
Or,
Right,
yeah,
make sure we
first of all,
have-
it's on the list, and then,
yeah.
Right, make sure anything that's referenced has a map
right.
first, and second,
That's the
update it
comment.
if
Right. And
possible.
that's why I'm talking about the gap,
Right,
gap
I
analysis.
just looked through my emails, on June 28th this year, I get a final go-ahead to Matt to drop off high-res PDFs, and create CDs.
I think it was last year, right? though?
June 26, 2016.
Right.
So he should have done that. If he didn't,
Well, I do know that, I recall, actually, we received, as I think Terry
I thought we
referenced
did.
others, we received a larger colored map. It may have been the first draft, but,
When did Melissa leave?
I don't know. I don't know what time.
I don't know.
roughly.
This is June 23rd.
Roughly
mid-June.
September, I think.
So she may have
Okay.
put them somewhere. I don't know.
I will do a thorough search in my office
Yeah.
to see what I can, I'll go through some of those boxes
Yeah.
when I get the time.
Mhm.
Is the 2013 zoning map an update of the 1965 official zoning map? Because it just looks
It's
like that's a
not-
mighty old
It's
map.
not listed as an official zoning map. I did find it an official zoning map.
Well, the 2013 zoning map was when we approved the business district, right? That's the zoning map for 2013, isn't it? I think.
Okay,
That's when the zoning in New Durham changed.
okay. And the map would have been updated?
Yeah.
Okay, and that should now be the map that's used for zoning purposes going
And
forward?
wherever in the zoning ordinance that is referenced, yeah.
In the zoning ordinances, it says it's the official zoning map. I had somebody argue that with me, they weren't gonna use this because it didn't say official.
Amy.
You guys specifically called it out as the official. The
Okay.
only map I found, zoning map I found that says the words official zoning map was in 1965.
That's
Yeah.
the 65.
Well, it would have been the same thing, because there was only one zone in town.
I know.
So
Legal-
it wouldn't have
legal-
changed anything.
From a
but-
legal perspective, that may be a concern now.
Yeah, so,
You gotta make it official.
yeah.
Or you gotta change the official out of,
Right, you
Just
just
the
need to
Durham zoning.
represent,
Yeah.
the 2013 zoning map, and then when
The
we
most recent-
update that,
Right.
or the most.
Does anybody wanna, I know you seem like you're not really psyched to do this. Does anybody wanna volunteer to go through the zoning ordinance? Find all references to maps and find a
I
map
have-
here?
the way,
I
Links
have
it?
already started that process, and I'm about halfway through.
yeah.
So you are?
So I've been, when I get a few minutes here and there, I go through it,
Alright.
all I'm doing, I'm not being real specific on what they are, I'm just highlighting where they are, but I can go through and start
Okay.
putting
Oh,
it
that's-
together.
Because that's what
That's
needs
the
to be done
problem.
here.
Yeah,
We need to go find every reference to a map in the
And
zoning
that's why you do,
ordinance
you
and
do a search,
Tie a
electronic search thing.
actual map to it.
right. That's the way to do it, don't do it
You
visually.
search for the word map, I guess.
But my problem is that the only copy of it I have on my computer is PDF.
Yeah, but you can still do a
You
search.
can still search
You
that.
can't, it depends what kind of PDF it is.
It does depend
I'll
on what,
send you,
yeah, it does
I'll
depend on what
send you
PDF version you
an
have. that's
editable
true.
PDF.
Hmm.
It won't be
Because I
pictures.
don't have that on my
Wow.
computer, so.
I will send you a Word file that is the actual words,
Okay.
and I'll send you a PDF of that,
Mhm.
that's searchable,
Okay.
all right?
That would be
Like
great.
creating me or sending it to me.
You want the Word file or the searchable PDF?
You said either, both? Yeah.
Because the Word file is editable, and then you'll start messing it all
Yeah,
up.
just the PDF.
Searchable PDF. Yep, I'll do that to everybody.
When we were discussing the Mary Meeting Watershed District, we talked about I remember there was a discussion about an official map. And I remember us saying there isn't an official, we were
Probably
worried there
official
may
That was
not
the
be.
official zoning map.
Is
that what it was,
We
the
did-
zoning map?
Like I said,
Okay.
I did find one that said official.
All right, but
All right.
that has to be
It's very
updated.
old.
That has to be updated.
And there's no other list for us to rely on in terms of what maps should be. I think that's kind of where you were going, is what maps should be in the collection beyond just our own zoning ordinances. That's the only
No,
guiding principle here.
that's pretty much it, yeah.
Okay.
No, but
I
I was-
think what we should probably do, I'm probably finishing your sentence here. Once we get this list of maps tied to the zoning ordinance, we should get a counter document written, we'll rewrite this document with another column saying zoning ordinance paragraph.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Make a
Where
reference.
it's there, and you put that up on the wall in front of your pile of maps.
And the ones that you are retiring from use, we can actually archive in the vault. I have already talked
Very
to
good.
the
Right. And
historian.
that's where I was going,
about doing that.
where I was going is that you should have, you should verify that you have every map that's referenced in these regs and ordinances
Mhm.
on this list, or can get it and know where it is. And then secondly, once you've done that, then determine which ones need updated. And thirdly, on this list, anyone that does not appear in those, archive or make some determination of whether you want to keep it or what.
Right,
Make sure it's not in the active pile,
right. Absolutely.
unless there's a new determination.
But
Okay.
because now that the maps are all together, we really need to work on trying to know where they are, and
Right.
the older ones do need to be archived. The official zoning map is actually a very huge map that Jeremy, when he was RTA, got laminated, and Amy used to have hanging up on the wall in her office.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the
We
one
did
that
locate
was,
it, and it's huge. It's a really cool map.
Okay,
so,
okay.
just in summation, you're gonna contact also to see if we have our final versions of what we paid for last year.
Right.
Yeah, I can do that, and I've also put in a call to Stratford County to have them look to see if we had a groundwater favorability map of any kind.
But it may go under different names, Bob.
Years
Right.
with them,
Right,
and
Bob said.
she said no,
Well, but Bob, it may go under different
names,
names, so.
Well,
She was gonna go looking in the archives too, so, to see
Well,
what they had.
well, Bob was saying that the new maps we just had done should have a transmissivity, soil transmissivity, or what transmissivity?
Water
Water transmissivity. All right,
through the
fine.
soils,
Right.
that's the ones,
Okay.
yeah.
So that should be, we'll have to change the reference in the ordinance to fix that.
Okay, and you got that email on June 28th?
Mid-June, there was a series of back and forths.
But I don't think the final ones came out until a month or two later, if I remember. I don't think they came out until,
Well, my last email from Matt is he was dropping them off next week.
after the
June
June
23rd
28th
or
or
something.
whatever, yeah.
So it would have been the first
Yeah.
week of July, they should have been dropped off.
Okay. I will call Stratford County after I've done a search to see if I can find the CD.
Okay. I think I have, yeah, I think he sent me, the PDF versions, I could send them to you. We still want hard copies and the CD though.
Right.
You can get PDFs, but, okay. Anything else on that note? Why don't you, if you can finish doing that and then drop me a note and I'll come in and go over it with you. Cross-reference now. I'll try and see if I can find time to look at that. Okay? That's,
I have an old business question, if we're through with those.
one
We have other,
more item in our packet. I think this is sort of on the same page,
Oh.
same info. At the back of the zoning ordinance, there's an appendix C of reference materials and the paragraph where they're referenced from. And I think Laura said you found all these documents in our files, so we have it.
Ones that I could not find a hard copy already here, I went online and I have printed out and put into a notebook. So
Right.
we have a reference shelf in my office that has all of these. I have a 2016 version of that first one and a
Mhm.
2011 of the
BNP
fourth
for
one,
agriculture.
yeah, because
Yep.
I wasn't able to get the year that you guys called out.
Well, obviously you want the
So
newer
we
one.
need to update those.
Yeah. So we need to keep a running tally of all these zoning ordinance changes
Yes.
for next
Right.
January or whatever.
And just, so you know, out of these, you don't have the latest version, but Good Forestry in the Granite State was updated a couple years ago. Maybe it's 3 years ago, but there's a newer version of that.
97.
And yeah, I did find that one I missed. Yeah, I do have the newer one because it's on the shelf in there. I think it's 2011.
It sounds about right,
All right?
Then I'll check.
Yeah, so how could we put a note in here that says, I mean, do we just put the as amended? Does that cover, like in the fourth item here, 1, 2, 3, fourth item, it's dated 2002 as amended. Now, for zoning ordinance purposes, does that suggest there may be new versions? I don't want to have to update the
Yeah,
zoning
it
ordinance every
does.
time one of these documents that gets updated.
yeah. It does,
So why don't we just put that in after every one of these?
yes. As they get redone, I mean, we should probably put the latest, I mean, they're gonna have to, a couple of them are gonna have to be done, they don't say as amended, like Good Forestry
Right.
and Granite State.
Right.
But
Couldn't you just
it should
say the
have that in there.
latest version
Well,
available?
That's
I think the
issue.
language is as amended.
That's
Well,
the
well,
legal language.
the issue I have is that it depends on how they've described it, that is the original source. If they had it as 2002 as amended, then that's a very specific definition of that particular edition.
Mhm.
If it's generic, then I agree that it's just whatever they add, they
Mhm.
add. But, to Laura's point, you should look at, and maybe you need a legal opinion on whether you could just say as updated,
Mhm.
and then it's whatever current version is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2002
Or put
as
most current
amended is,
version.
Rather than amended, because, amended may
right,
not be the terminology
Right.
that,
Right. And the 2011, I don't believe says as amended.
okay, so,
It's just a new
it's a new
version.
version.
yeah. So you maybe, as I said, you probably want to have a legal opinion, but maybe you want to add to all the references in the stuff is that
Yeah.
as updated, or
Mhm.
most recent edition, or,
Something,
whatever,
yeah.
something,
Yeah, but I-
Well,
whatever
up
the
here you
legal,
could say the most recent edition
Yeah.
is available.
Well,
yeah.
I think the legal phrasing is as amended. I
We
think that's
we
what
could
Bob
check,
and
well,
I,
that's
but
what
we
I.
can ask,
Yeah.
legal- I think the legal phrasing, the
Was
language
as amended.
is
Yeah.
saying as
And
amended.
that,
We
you know,
can
so
double
that
But
I-
we can, if you
I'm
can,
not familiar with that one, so I don't know how they put
That's
okay,
that.
it.
do we
Well,
have
that's a fair
actual legal
question.
counsel in town now?
Pardon?
Do we have legal counsel in town now? Permanently?
No,
Semi-permanently?
no,
No. Okay,
Contract basis.
wait until after the election.
okay.
Um,
Just wondering.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Does 2002 as amended, is 2011 version consistent with 2002 as amended, or is that a different?
Well, and that's what I say,
Right.
I
And I'm
mean,
not
Scott may be right,
Right.
and that may be the legal advice that you had, is just use as amended, it goes
Right.
what up.
Right,
And if that's the case, then I agree, every one of them should be
Right.
that. Or if that one is specific to that edition, then you should find whatever legal
Right.
phrase allows you to push the most recent
it
edition.
may depend on what the source is,
Right,
because the state documents probably are regularly updated.
right.
But the second one from Moose Mountain Regional Greenway is probably not regularly updated, it's a private entity.
I mean, two of them are as amended and the others don't have that phrase.
Right,
so,
so we'll have to figure that out.
yeah. But as I said, just ask the legal
Yeah,
terminology that's appropriate. And then you have to go back into all the ordinances and,
right.
Now,
Okay.
are we allowed to make those kinds of changes, or is?
No, that's in the zoning ordinance, it has to go through town
It
meeting.
has to go through.
well, you
that's what I
make the
wondered.
changes, then ask for the voters to.
Right,
approve.
we have to, yeah, they can't, they're not official until it goes through
Right.
town meeting.
Even
That's why you have to be-
editorial changes like that.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's why I want to put as amended when we can, so we don't have to keep doing
Do
these
it
changes.
every year.
Yeah,
Or
and that's
put
why,
Current version available.
whatever the language, we'll figure out whatever the legal language is.
Now, the flip side of that, of course, is that you have to be aware of the changes of what the updated has. Any changes that the updated version has, you're accepting those as part of the town ordinances,
Right.
so. Yeah, there's a responsibility on both sides of the coin there.
Yeah, we should be looking at these references and and identifying what we're using them for in the ordinance,
Right.
and make sure that does make sense. Yeah, we should, because there may be clauses in the new references that are telling us to do something else.
Right. Point toward a different
Point towards
document.
something else or some other practice that we're not including.
What if I make a schedule for after the elections and everybody, you know, you have your new board sitting, a schedule that takes each one of those manuals, finds where they are, and you go,
Yeah,
at one meeting, you
yeah,
review that one, and you just go through them one
that would probably make
manual at a
sense.
time to
Is there-
determine how you want it.
Yeah.
What you
There are
want.
8 of them, so do one a month or something.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes
Okay.
sense. Get all this stuff cleaned up. It's amazing how much effort it takes to keep all these documents updated.
So I said there's responsibility on both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Well, especially if it has to go to the voters every single time.
Right.
So that's a big deal.
Right. Okay, so, that's all I have. Any other new, old, or other business, Jeff?
I have an old business, just a question. Any
Yep.
update on the ZBA hearing of the Green Oak gravel pit? Have they set any dates, had any hearings? Has anything gone on?
I have received special exception application, I am getting ready to make that publicly known next week.
You just said it.
Well, I know.
think you were on camera.
The notices are going out next week to all of the abutters and in the newspaper.
Okey dokey.
Okay.
So it is, so
Well, it's
effectively, it's in
public-
process, so it's.
It is.
It is in process, yeah.
Yep,
Public information, it's not requiring to be confidential, right?
No, I just haven't released it to the abutters
Okay.
yet. I haven't
Right.
done, I haven't done the official mailing and notification.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a big deal.
It's
no, but,
And people get upset about it, but there is a statutory requirement that we have to meet. We're in the
Yeah.
process of doing that. so.
yep,
And that meeting will be on April 11th, and we're in the process of trying to confirm whether or not we can have the school to hold that meeting.
Okay. That will be a newly elected ZBA board.
In fact, our applicant withdrew his application when he realized that the ZBA meeting would be on election night if he put it in any earlier than what he did. So he came in, withdrew it, wrote a letter and said, hold off until after elections.
okay. All right. Yeah, that would potentially cause a mess.
Yeah, whatever.
And the ZBA start hearing it, and then the ZBA changes.
Yeah, well, not
Well,
only that,
I
we
think-
couldn't have the school because the elections were taking
Right.
place.
Yeah,
Right.
but
It would make it
that's
harder
one,
for
but
people
that's,
to attend.
at least I know in Board of Selectmen, and I assume it's ZBA too, but there is a period of 2 or 3 days after the election before it becomes official.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think somebody looked it up, it's 5 days. 5 days
Yeah.
after election, you can be sworn.
It's less than that for, I think it can be done after
Right.
3.
But
I think
the
it's after
potential
3
problem
meetings.
is if the ZBA meeting went for, needed
Yeah.
another meeting,
Right,
and you
And
had
you
the
had
old
all-
board switching to the new board
Right.
between the meetings.
that would
That
not
would be a
be,
problem.
that would not be a good thing. No, there's absolutely the right thing to do, I'm just
Yeah.
saying
Right.
that I think there's a period of X days, and I thought it was 3, but it could be 5
Yeah,
afterwards.
On that note, Paul Roslavicus sent me a string of emails between the Milford town planner and an attorney, I assume a land use attorney, asking if new ordinances are brought to the voters, when do they take effect? And, is it after the vote, when is it actually it takes effect? And his answers, surprisingly to me, and I don't put this out as gospel because it's just a string of emails, but what his answer was 120 days prior to the vote, the ordinance actually takes effect. And
what?
I assume
That doesn't make sense.
It was very surprising to me. All I could think of was that would preclude a stampede of applications if something was considered you know, non-favorable to a landowner or whatever. But that's what the answer was 120 days prior.
Another question for our town council.
That doesn't
Right.
make sense.
I,
Well, my
I
under-
don't, I don't think it's an issue for us,
It's
but
not
that's
right now,
what,
it's not.
no, because
You
we
mean
don't
it-
have anything in front of us, but.
It could, no, I can't. I don't see how that works.
Well, my understanding is it's in the statute, but, is when we vote to put it on the warrant, you do it up to, I think it is 90 days. So it's the date it officially goes on we vote to put it on the warrant.
Right, in our case,
That
it
is
wouldn't
the
be
fact.
120 days, because
Right.
we didn't vote to put it on the
120 days.
warrant
Right.
for, but if we voted to put it on the warrant, let's say in August, it would actually begin to take effect 120 days prior.
But it's not 90.
Presuming.
Not 90, well, it would have to be after the election then too. Because
Right.
the warrant was, you know, what was approved to go on the warrant was about roughly 40 days,
Right.
45 days before the election. So,
Right, I'm assuming it can't be before the planning board votes to place it on the warrant,
Yeah,
but it's.
because the editing
I
hasn't
assume
changed,
it's
may not
it's
have
the
finished
later,
yet.
I assume it's the later of those two dates.
Yeah.
But that was the answer he gave, which was surprising to me.
Yeah, we should know that date,
yeah.
because we could have an application come across that has that effect.
I want to have Scott ask legal counsel on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. With any
Because it
zoning,
may be an issue with warrant article 2, I don't know,
yeah,
It's possible.
so. Okay.
all right. Any other old, new, other business?
I was just gonna ask also, new business, there's two obvious areas that it seems like we have to tackle this year. The obvious first one is ADUs, because there may
Right.
be inconsistencies in our ordinances with the new state law. And the other one that since I've been involved, seems to have come up repeatedly, is the issue of low-cost workforce housing. You know, where will that be allowed? You know, do we have sufficient adequate areas for it? What do we have to do to comply with the court decisions?
Mhm.
It seems like there are questions around that
Yeah.
that we ought to grapple with, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to raise those as.
Well, the
Topics.
ADU is kind of related to that. Those accessory dwelling units are part of workforce housing. That's part, in a way, that's part of the law. It's,
Okay.
they
Yep.
exist to expand the availability of workforce housing.
And a few years ago, we should probably pull this up, we had a study done on workforce housing in Durham by Bruce
Yeah.
Mayberry, who is
Mhm.
one of the top people for doing that. And anyway, you'd probably be surprised at the dollar figure at that time that constitutes workforce housing. It was a
Large.
couple $100,000.
Yeah.
It was a
It
lot
was
more than
large.
what I would have thought of.
Wow.
And it varies depending on the economics, the values of the homes and
I
everything
mean, that's
else.
public
But-
information, you may want to pull it
But
up.
we have that.
Yeah.
We have,
I don't know if it's on the website or not, but.
from a couple of years ago.
don't
So
know.
at least at that.
Could be in the
first
file
of all,
That would be a
summertime.
great starting
Yeah.
point.
Bruce
Because I-
Mayberry's report on workforce housing.
'Cause we were worried about not meeting the workforce housing requirements and,
Well, I think it was David Bickford raised it as when we were discussing the watershed
Mhm.
district. And we agreed that that land was really not suitable for workforce housing. But I can see that discussion coming up repeatedly, and I'm just curious,
Yeah.
what are we required to do as a town? What are the I know there's been this landmark court case, but what does it really mean for us as
Mhm.
as a planning board? What are our responsibilities?
Mhm.
I certainly don't know.
we should bring that study up because it did cover some
Yeah.
of the basics. It was
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'll try and locate it.
That's just one of those things that to me, good to be prepared before the plan for 500 houses lands on our
Right,
desk.
yeah, absolutely.
Because I know it has that builder's remedy, where if the builder believes we acted arbitrarily or inappropriately, they can go to a judge, and the judge
Yeah.
can say, you go ahead and proceed without the
Right.
planning board. It has a lot of implications, so.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
The building inspector also wanted to know if you guys had given any thought to Airbnbs.
Yep.
Because it's becoming an issue in this town. I have had people call me and say, how do you zone this? Is it commercial? Is it residential? How are you taxing it?
Right.
What range, where are we gonna be placed if we do an
Right.
Airbnb?
you know, a
These
key
are
issue
things
is
that-
the meals and room tax issue.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we need to deal with that.
I'm just, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt that part, but I have another topic.
I was just gonna ask about that.
Mhm.
Is that really a town issue, or is that a state issue? I think we started to discuss that a little bit when it came up
That's,
the last time. To what extent is that a New Durham issue? If it's a state law that you gotta be licensed and you gotta pay taxes, is that of interest
but
and concern
Airbnb
to
is
us?
kind of a,
It's kind of a business.
kind of,
It's a town issue from a zoning point of view, it's a state issue from a tax revenue point of view.
right.
Well, what about summer rentals on the lake? A lot of people, rent a part of
Yeah.
their house, they rent their whole
Do
house.
they pay meals and rooms tax? I don't know.
I have
Probably
no
not.
idea. I mean,
I
I
don't
wish
rent-
Peter
I
was
don't
here,
rent, so I
because
don't
he
know.
explained, you gotta say, there's a number of days that you can rent it, and it's
Right.
not,
Right.
it's after that point,
Right.
then the rooms and meals
Right.
tax comes into effect.
But
I
it's,
think he said it was 120 days or 160 days that you can rent it.
that's most of the
Without it
summer.
being, yeah, and I think that's why it's written that way, so that
Right.
people can rent out their summer places without being
Right.
penalized and stuff.
Right, but at the same time,
But some of
that's,
these Airbnbs are running year round.
right. But how do you enforce that? How do you know? That's almost completely unenforceable.
Yeah, I think finding out how the state's dealing with it, or what's in the
Yeah.
process.
I mean,
One
it's
way
just-
you
it's
can
almost
find
just-
out is they advertise online, that's how Peter.
That doesn't
is
say, that doesn't tell you
loyal.
how often they actually get the rental though.
No, but you can send your building inspector or your code enforcement out.
Every week and look for a different license plate on the car? I don't know.
well, see,
How you
that's,
gonna
Some of
figure
the-
that one out?
No, but
Some
you
of
can
the
scan the place to see how.
Some of the
thoroughly it's set up.
Airbnbs have, on the website, they have the
Yeah.
dates that they're
They're
available, so
available,
then you
yeah.
know if they're not available, if it's being rented.
If they have that on the
So
website,
They do have that
yeah.
on the website,
although
yeah.
it could just be
And-
the owners using it.
They just
now.
took it off the market.
Yeah.
Well, my only, I don't know how that works, except for my question was, there's some land in New Durham around the lake that's in a covenant, like it was set up years and years ago, and they have a covenant for
Yeah.
this particular. And so in that covenant, I haven't read the deed, but I've heard people who have the deed and who've read it about the covenant, that you're not allowed to run a business, and that's a
Yeah.
business. And so.
But a covenant is a
Then
private
having-
document between
That's a
the
deed restriction.
deed owners.
It's a deed
That is
restriction.
that's not our problem.
Right, that's only illegal.
That's the neighbor suing the neighbor's
It's a
problem.
civil issue as opposed
Yeah.
to.
I think it says that in all our deeds, doesn't it?
I don't know.
I think my
On the
deed
lake?
says no, yeah, I think my deed says no commercial. Pretty sure it says no commercial. But then it also says no two-story houses, we don't know how far that's gone.
Yeah,
But, yeah, deed restrictions
are
are
not our,
only enforceable by neighbors suing.
right.
But yeah, I mean, something like the code enforcement officer having to go out and enforce regulations on B and Bs, does the town have that responsibility, or is that really the state's responsibility?
If it's for tax purposes, it's the state.
Right.
If it's for zoning issues or violations, then it's the town.
Right,
It depends on, what you're going for.
right.
We had one person that came in, they got their building permits, they did everything, permitted and everything, and built an absolutely beautiful place, and it is being used as an Airbnb.
Right,
100% of the time, not living there at all.
right. So, have to
Okay.
decide if we want to put a clause in enforcing that or not, I guess, on local
I mean,
law.
that's one where I see overlap with the ADU too, is, if somebody has a building or a basement or whatever, I'm thinking on the lake, but it could be anywhere,
Right,
and they decide that's an ADU, but
Right.
now they're gonna rent it out by the night, by
Yep.
the week,
Yep.
whatever. Is that still an ADU? Do we have any?
yeah, that is. You don't have to be a relative to live there,
Right.
and
You don't have to
You
be a
already-
relative, but
But it doesn't say
could we as a town limit that and say you can only rent by the month, not by the day or the week?
I don't think so.
Is there anything that says we can't do that?
I think that would be a private property rights issue.
Yeah. I don't-
I do too.
I asked that
As
question.
long
at
as
the-
you're
at
within the
workshop.
septic restrictions, I mean, you can't put 10 people in a one-bedroom apartment,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure I'd want to, even if we could have the legal authority, because I don't wanna restrict someone's property's rights unless it's bugging the neighbors. You know, if private
Well, but
property
certainly
rights
the-
are, you know,
The intent of ADUs, though, was not to create summer rental units. That was not what they had in mind.
no,
No,
And when I asked the question at the workshop, the answer was, the legislature recognized that that was a potential liability,
yeah,
and they were thinking about dealing with it, but hadn't yet.
right.
And we weren't going to.
And I think it wasn't clear, I think I did ask, can we as a planning board restrict, you know, the rentals? And I think the answer was they really didn't know.
I think the only thing we could potentially put in there is, with the ADU limits, is the landowner is always responsible for the activity of their tenants, is ultimate responsible. Something in that, some kind of language like that. I don't know how far you can go with that, but,
Well, it's their property.
yeah.
They should be responsible.
You know, if we put that on as a town ordinance, then whenever a landlord rents the place out, they put it in their own thing that you are responsible. So if a neighbor sues the landlord for a tenant's issues, then the landlord then can sue the renter.
Some rental contracts are pretty darn long,
Yeah, you know,
so you can put those.
something
things
like
in.
that. I don't know how
And that's
that
where
would
it
work.
comes into, where it's part of fair housing,
Mhm.
Right,
because they can rent it,
right,
and it's affordable.
Right.
Change the subject, one last thing.
one more thing.
The town has hired a building inspector.
Not the current building inspector.
That's correct, although he will continue as, there'll be a
As a
dual role
transition.
type thing for a little while.
Okay,
He has very strong experience. He actually is an assistant building inspector in the town of Barrington. He is a resident of New Durham. And I think his name was announced last week. His name is John Abbott. I
Oh,
think he starts
next Tuesday.
March. I think it's about 10 days, something like that.
March 14th. I was told he would be here next Tuesday.
No.
yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, I was gonna say.
On Stockbridge Road or somewhere.
oh, okay, because we have a John Abbott, but, okay.
Okay, great.
That's as an FYI.
Now,
All
is
right.
is that building inspector the same as code enforcement
Correct.
officer?
Yes.
Or are they down
Yes.
different?
Same job,
Well,
different
It
name.
is the same
It's
job.
a interchangeable term almost.
Interchangeable
And
name.
health officer too.
All right,
So,
so
although I
we'll,
don't think he was hired as a
He's
health
not gonna be
officer.
the health
He's
officer.
not hired yet as a health officer.
I'll have to get, is there some training for that?
Health
Minor
officer,
training?
um,
Minor training?
I don't think there's anything officially
You
required.
fill
It's
out
more
a
of a
piece of
state
paper and
thing.
submit it to
Yeah.
the state.
But,
Yeah.
but what he was hired for is a code enforcement officer, building inspector.
so that will transfer from Chief Farney to John Abbott.
Do not ask that question yet.
Okay, okay. Isn't Chief Farney the current
He is.
Yes, he is.
code enforcement officer? Okay.
Don't ask that question.
Don't go there.
Oh, dokie. Okay, anything else? Last item?
Motion adjourned. What you were looking for?
Did you move to adjourn?
I
You
did.
did.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.